Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, everyone. We are about to start. I hope Ben is going to come back. Yes.
I'm here. Yes, I'm here.
I knew you would.
Sorry.
No worries. So okay, we are full room. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning to everyone. Thank you for joining this second session of the Digital Air Cargo Forum. As I explained yesterday, TIACA was planning to hold its Air Cargo Forum this year in Miami in November. Due to the pandemic, we had to cancel the physical event, but we didn't want to not have the opportunity to cover lots of different topics, especially this one. Actually, that's the session that explained why we really wanted to have the Digital Air Cargo Forum. It's the third Sustainability for Cargo webinar that TIACA is running this year. And this one is with all those speakers that you see on the screen. This is the corporate and startup finalists of the second Sustainability Awards that we are running within TIACA with the support of CHEMP. And I really would like first to welcome you and to congratulate you, U6, for being there. It's amazing. We had really good set of applications for this second edition of the awards, the Sustainability Awards. You made it to the final, and I really want to congratulate you all for that. I'm very excited to give you the opportunity to present what you guys are working on, because this is truly exciting, and this is contributing to make the air cargo more sustainable. So thank you all. So what I'd like to do is to first start with a very short overview of why TIACA is talking about sustainability. And then I'd like to give you some key high-level outcomes of the sustainability survey that we run for the first time. It's for the first time, but not the last time, because we plan to run it annually. And we closed the survey yesterday, so it's really hot from the press. A few high-level results from that survey, and then I will have a panel discussion with Christine from SkyPooling, with Ben from VRR, and with Sky from Pelican. They are the three finalists of the corporate category of this second Air Cargo Sustainability Awards. Then Justina, who works with me in Change Horizon, is going to also take the lead and introduce our three startups that are finalists in the startup category. And they will pitch their thing, and for them, it's for all of them, it's very important. But for the startups, we have a cash prize of 10,000 USD. So I bet there is really a big motivation on their side. They have prepared a 10-minute pitch, each of them, on their solution. So I'd like to start. Thank you all for joining, and enjoy the show. Let me share my screen. And I guess you can see my screen. Okay. So what does sustainability matter? within the air cargo industry. It was mainly one of the question that we raised in the survey. So that's the theme of today's discussion. And we tested it, and it worked. And it works. Okay, let me introduce you to the sustainability program and why it's important for TIACA. Last summer, we had a new chairman and a new vice chairman of TIACA, Stephen Polmans from Brussels Airport and Sanjeev Gadia from Astral Aviation. Both of them, when they took the reins of the association, they really decided to put sustainability on top of the agenda of the association. It's really close to their hearts, and they wanted to make something and to make sure that TIACA is positioned to support the air cargo industry in its sustainable transformation. At the exact same time, Arnaud Lambert, the former CEO of CHEMP, was also like wondering, can we do more? Can we have some type of initiatives that would really put more light, more emphasis on sustainability efforts in the air cargo industry? We need to do better, and we need to do more. So those three, they agreed to start this sustainability award, and it was really the first element of the whole program. But sustainability program for TIACA is not just running an award. It's quite nice, and I bet my 6 speakers today are enjoying the approach, but it would not be enough. So the ambition of the sustainability program that TIACA wants to lead is really to drive improvement, concrete improvement in terms of sustainable transformation of our industry. What we want is to really, work with our partners, work with the entire supply chain, and establish the vision of what do we mean by a sustainable air cargo industry. Where are we today? Where do we want to be tomorrow? And what is the journey to reach the goals that we have? So that's really the ambition of our program that we launched last year. I have to say that this year it was a bit wishy-washy with the pandemic. So we had to put it a bit on hold for a few months, and we really restarted the work we initiated with the sustainability working group. We reinitiated the work last summer. We looked at what are the concrete actions we could do to support the industry. So the award, we wanted also to have really a good picture of where we are today and to be able to monitor. So that was the reason why we launched this sustainability survey at the industry level. We wanted also to raise awareness and to have the conversation ongoing on that topic within our industry. So that's why we started a series of sustainability webinars. It's the third one today. The first 2 were about, can we still afford sustainability? And I'm glad that the answer was yes, a big yes, more than ever. And also concrete discussions around decarbonizing the air cargo industry. Sustainability is not about just environment, and I will show you that in a minute, but decarbonizing aviation and air cargo and logistics is quite an important element of it and quite a focus for our industry. What we want to do next year is to accelerate. Hopefully, we will be able to spend a bit more time than this year because of the pandemic that changed the plans. And the idea is really to come up with a common vision and have some sort of global commitment with our different partners, with FIATA on the freight forwarding side, with ACI on the airport side, with IATA on the airline side, and many more. We'd like to have really all the partners aligned on common objectives and taking also their share of responsibility in driving their part of the action plan. Then, based on the survey, we would like to derive also some concrete actions and follow up on those actions. And then continue annual survey to monitor the progress, the sustainability awards, the third edition next year, and continue with online events. I hope one day we will be back to physical events, but in the meantime, we will continue with online ones. In terms of our sustainability awards, I'd like to really thank our jury members. The 5 of them, they are all actually members of the strategic partnership program we put in place. So not all individuals, but all companies, they are part of the sustainability working group. So it's with them, for instance, that we define the survey questionnaire, etc. So the work is really with those companies. So I really would like to thank them, and also because they spend quite a lot of time reviewing all the applications we received for the award, scoring them on various criteria that were defined, and it's thanks to them that we have those 6 super finalists today. So first, before going into the awards thing, I'd like to give you some of the feedback, high-level result of the survey that we just closed yesterday. It's the first. I said we want to have it annually to monitor the progress. It was designed by the Sustainability Working Group. We received 120 answers. I have to say that it's a really good result for a sustainability survey to start with. But we would like obviously to get way more next year and the years to come. I put the survey respondent by region also to show you that, you know, we have good feedback, but it's mainly from Europe. So then we can ask ourselves, is it a European, North American type of discussion only, or is it us that needs to reach out to other regions of the world to get their feedback? Does it mean that sustainability is more advanced in Europe than the other regions or not? So it's still, you know, a question that we need to analyze and respond to. So does it matter? Yes, it does. It was a big yes from the survey. It's supported by 90% of the CEOs from the companies that participated in the survey. They said that, you know, according to 81% of them, they said that their company have a real strategic priority for sustainability with concrete actions in place. Because we ask also the question, do you have a strategy in place? Yes, but I don't see any concrete action. So we hopefully had very few answers in that category. So 75%, they declared that they have a strategy in place. And from those 75, 78% of them, they feel that sustainability is part of their DNA. And I'd like to really understand from Christine, from Ben and Kai, if they feel the same within their own company. Is sustainability part of the DNA of their company? What was also interesting to know, and it's reassuring to know that, you know, sustainability keeps keeps on growing in terms of, strategic importance for companies despite the current situation. So even if we are going through very tough times with COVID, sustainability is seen still as more important than ever. And it's really a very encouraging sign. I will go into more details of the sustainability survey results, but in a later webinar after we really analyzed the data, because it was quite extensive. But to give you some good set of information on where the focus is from the air cargo industry, I divided that into 3 categories: the traditional people, planet, and prosperity. So let's start by the environmental focus. Carbon decarbonizing is really the most like popular or the most important topic that air cargo industry is looking at. And what we asked the respondents to do is to indicate for each of them at what stage they were at. Are they at the awareness stage, measurement stage, reduction or improvement stage, or reporting stage? And it's very good to see the ones and the big chunk of them that are declaring they are really in the improvement stage. So it's also one of the key message I'd like to pass is we can spend a lot of time discussing the issues and trying to get also some figures and measurement. And I'm the first one to say we can't manage if we can't measure. But we need to also be very pragmatic in the time and energy we spend on sustainability to make sure that the efforts are put in priority in the reduction and improvement stage. Here on that list, it's a list that we in the survey that we proposed, themes that we proposed. We didn't think about adding the plastic, the single-use plastic issue. It's probably here, together with the waste, but I feel that it's something that we will add in the future surveys because and we could see that this year the COVID pandemic is bringing back the single-use plastic pandemic. So it's probably something we need to also look at and tackle. The second pillar, the people, the social impact. It's also quite heavy on the agenda of air cargo players. Lots of training. I mean, we have a culture of training our people, also driven by the safety and security culture that we have in our industry. And something that we'd like to do more within TIACA is to encourage diversity and inclusion in air cargo. And diversity, we discussed that yesterday at the People for Cargo session. Diversity is not just about the diversity that is visible, like the gender, the age, the race, but it's also the invisible diversity, so the experience, the cross-generation work and collaboration that is also necessary. And the third pillar on really the prosperity, the efficiency of the air cargo industry, a lot of focus on digital transformation, operational improvements, and quality. This is going to be extremely critical in the next challenge that we are going to face with the distribution of the COVID vaccines. And really, you can see a lot of companies declaring they are actively doing something to improve on that area. Something we can add also, probably, in light of what happened this year, is the need for resiliency in our industry. So I bet it's going to be a theme that we will cover more in the next weeks and years. And I'd like to end, with the partnership. And we raised some questions in the survey around, do you guys engage with your partners to advance your sustainability goals? And 68% said, yes, absolutely, we do engage our partners. And a very different question, but exactly the same answer or same figure, the 68% or 69 maybe declared that sustainability is now embedded in their procurement process. And it's something that is also quite significant. When we started discussing about sustainability in air cargo like 5 years ago, it was a lot of talks, but not a lot of concrete actions. And when I was discussing with airlines to really understand, okay, but when you have your commercial discussions with freight forwarders and shippers, is really sustainability a decision making factor for them? And they were telling me at that time, no, it's still speed and cost and quality. But today, more and more companies, they embed sustainability considerations in their procurement process. It comes from the shippers, cascaded to forwarders, cascaded to airlines, cascaded to ground handlers. So it's coming, and it's coming for real. So we need to really have that in mind and really take it seriously. So that's the overall, results of this first survey. And now I would like to invite Christine from SkyPooling, Kai from Pelican, and Ben from VRR to join me in a panel discussion. Again, Christine, Kai, and Ben, I would like to congratulate you and your teams for the fantastic achievement of being the 3 corporate finalists for this Sustainability Award. Welcome to the stage, to the virtual stage.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Celine.
So maybe I can just stop sharing my screen. And what I'd like to ask you first is, we saw in this the result of the survey that so many companies, at least in Europe, so many companies declare that sustainability is really a priority for their CEOs. It's a priority, a strategic priority in their company, and they have a real strategy with concrete actions in place. Is it the case for your respective companies? Christine?
Yeah, thanks, Celine, for the introduction and to giving me the chance to share our view here. And maybe I have to explain that I'm talking with 2 heads. One is SkyPooling, and I'm going to explain in a minute what our idea is that we will maybe win the award for. And SkyPooling is a brand of Jetainer. And Jetainer is one of the big ULD management companies. So we're talking in the field of ULDs. So obviously containers and pallets used for luggage and cargo in aviation. And coming back to your question on our strategy and how important is it for our CEO, I think what's important really is, and this is what Jetainer has implemented, is that it's not a sustainability strategy as such, but the idea is to make your strategy sustainable. And when we look at Jetainer, how do we do that? It's really to look at or recognize the ULD as a valuable resource. And that resource should ideally never be standing around emptily, never be flying around emptily, or being lost or abandoned. And well, Jetainer is doing a lot for that, but obviously SkyPooling, with the idea of being a sharing platform, is also targeting at getting these empty movements and empty standing around of ULDs out of the system.
Yeah, make your strategy sustainable. I cannot agree more. For me, having a sustainability strategy is not sustainable. We need to have a sustainable long-term strategy, full stop. I agree.
Yeah.
Ben?
Yeah.
What about your company?
Yeah, first of all, thank you as well that we can participate in this, and thank you, jury, to nominate us for between the finalists, Kai and Christine. Yes, we also have a strategy, and I agree with Christine. Your strategy should be sustainable, and we have an extreme focus on innovating, because we believe that innovation is the way to tackle sustainability. And luckily, we have a young team here in our company, average age between 30 to 40 years, which are very driven, and what's important is that is asking questions, challenging the status quo, and thinking different about current practices that there are. And that is also incorporated in our strategy itself, because what we try to do is create a culture here in our company where it's allowed to make mistakes, where it's allowed to do things differently, to ask questions, and to question the things that are done right now. And it's also stated in our mission, for instance. So our mission is inspiring our colleagues, partners, and customers in co-creating the safest and most efficient air cargo innovations. So yeah, I could say that it is quite embedded in our strategy. Yeah.
And it's quite an inspiring mission statement to inspire people.
Yeah, and that's what we try to do, because while inspiring others, new ideas will be created again by others, and especially the part of co-creating. And I noted that in the partnership, which is essential for innovation and for sustainability, we can't do it on our own. Yeah. We need the help of our partners, our customers, our suppliers, and we mutually will benefit also from it. So yeah, that's what we try to do as well, help each other in finding the best solutions for the products that we develop.
Great. What about you, Kai, in Pelican?
Yeah, so I'm happy to speak about kind of our approach to sustainability. And being our primary product lines are reusable shippers to support cold chain, parcel, all the way up to freight size, pallet size units. And our initial products were reusable. So it's really one of the key pillars of our value add, and why we should attain a new customer's business from their, the solutions they had been using. I think we're in a very lucky position where our biggest impact in the world is selling more of our product, is transitioning more people away from single use into a reusable model. So that's a very nice place to be in, especially for all the startups we're talking. That's where you want to be. And that helps drive all aspects of the business and help push that sustainable vision out as well. So I think we can always get better, certainly internally, and all organizations are constantly improving. And we support our customers in that, and providing them analyses for their sustainability metrics and working closely with them. Mm-hmm. It's not a service we charge for, it's just something we both agree is important, and a message we both want to get across. So that that's kind of what drives us.
Great. So Kai, what is exactly your solution? Your reusable shipping container made from recyclable components. Tell us about more about that.
Yeah, so it's really a few different product lines, and it scales based on size of what you're shipping. But essentially, we support all aspects of the high-value cold chain market. And at Pelican, our motto is to protect what matters most. For our biothermal division, which we're discussing today, that is very important things, vaccines and therapies, especially in the fight against the pandemic, blood distribution, and medical devices. So very high value products where perishability is not only costly, but it can be dangerous to the end user. So on our parcel side all the way up, part of the reusability is function. So it's using high value components to drive high performance and building that ecosystem to be able to track these assets as they flow around the world and bring them back together, refurbish them, and send them out for another journey.
Mm-hmm. Good. Interesting. So, okay, what led you to come up with that product, especially with the recyclable component that you have?
So, I mean, in general, sustainability wasn't the key driver, and I think it's important to understand that if you're trying to create a product only to be sustainable, there has to be something else for it to stand on to actually have wide adoption and start to make real change.
Mm-hmm.
So first it was performance, and that performance, as I mentioned, costs money. I mean, the components are more expensive, they're highly engineered, and really to provide a market value, the only way to do that was to create a reusable model, and that required an ecosystem that didn't exist. And so the second area is trying to cost control, and the reality is using recycled components and recycling. One of our primary insulators is vacuum insulation panels, and those last a number of years. And at the end of their lifespan, we ask our customers to send the shippers back to us so we can recycle the core material and reprocess that into new panels. And so also recycled plastics, there is a cost benefit to a lot of them. So kind of bringing down the cost and improving the sustainability at the same time.
Okay, so like improving sustainability is like a side effect of your product, and with the main driver being really adding value to the market, improving performance and reducing costs, if I'm understanding properly, right?
Yeah, I'd say that's correct.
Okay.
In any of our decisions though, sustainability, it is still kind of it's not going to drive most decisions at most companies, unfortunately, but it's a really great thing to lean on. And so because that is really a primary selling point of a reusable shipper, anytime we can bring that in is a benefit.
Interesting. What about you, Ben, in VRR? So what drove you to come up with this inflatable ULD? That's amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing. And what drove us, that's I think a worldwide problem that there is currently with ULD fleets. And Christine will also talk about it, I think, because they are focusing also as well on that. But what we see in the world is that most flows of physical goods go from east to west. And what will happen by that is that ULD fleets get imbalanced. So you have a surplus in one part of the region or one of the world, and you have an inconvenient shortage on the other sides. And that on itself can be managed. However, it's still inconvenient, very inconvenient, and not sustainable. So what we thought of, and what you see now, is that fleet managers will fly them back, fly empty containers back. And that costs a lot of money, but it also, with regards to sustainability, it has its impact on environment and economics. So we questioned ourselves, how can we make that more efficient? And the answer to that was quite easy. However, working out to a product is always not that easy. It's more difficult. But the answer is to reduce the size of the ULD itself, so that it can be stacked on the lower deck, or it can be stacked for storage. So this product, the Inflatable Key, is part of a bigger range of products that we have, collapsible range. But this is really the first inflatable unit. We have mechanically foldable container as well. But this is the inflatable unit. And it is driven by the idea of our managing director, to be honest. He came up with it a few years ago. He said, why couldn't it be inflatable? And we were all laughing, inflatable, okay. But he came up with other ideas and examples, and then we thought, okay, maybe it's possible. So we started some tests and some examples with it, and found out that there might be an opportunity to do so. It is driven by the imbalance of ULDs worldwide. And in the end, if it works and people will use it, it will increase the utilization of their fleet. It will save them costs for storage. And in the end, if you increase the utilization, you require a smaller fleet, which is in the end operational. It saves you costs operationally. So, which is a good thing, of course. So that's the idea that we have been nominated for. Yeah.
Okay. And you laughed when he came up with this idea.
Yeah, it's funny, of course, because you don't think it's not something that you think about when you're in a market like when you're in the aviation industry. So we laughed about it, but he was quite persistent on it, and I have to say he convinced us that we should go on with it, and so all the credits to him. And now we're at the phase that we are hoping to get the certification in the course of next year, so that we can really introduce it for testing.
Okay. How do you think it's likely to be to happen, the certification next year?
It is quite likely, although it's challenging because it's also something new for the authorities. That makes it challenging. But we're getting there slowly. Yeah.
I bet our two startups, two drone startups in the next category are feeling the same because it's a very common issue that drones company have. It's quite innovative, and it does require a lot of mindset change when you have to go through certification process and convince the authorities that it's safe and it's secured, it can work. So I bet it's a challenge to have that certification.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great, Christine. So what drove Jake Taylor SkyPooling to come up with the SkyPooling actually?
Well, Ben quite broadly explained the problem already, and I think it's quite cool to have two panelists and two nominees looking at the same problem and tackling it from two different directions. And we had a quick chat before, or thought about that before, that it's really going complementary. So, and I want to add a couple of figures to it to really show how big the problem, but also how big the potential is of taking this waste out of the system, of not flying units empty back and forth. So there's around 1 million of ULDs in a worldwide ULD fleet. And if you just imagine that every one of these ULDs is being flown 10 times a year emptily, we're talking about 10 million empty ULD movements every year. And you can calculate that that leads up to about 1 million tons of CO2 wasted every year. So that is a huge, well, this is a huge starting point and a huge scale for really making aviation greener. And with SkyPooling, we can take out around 100,000 tons of CO2. With proper scaling, we can bring that figure up to 500,000. So what is SkyPooling? SkyPooling is an online platform to share ULDs. And really the aim is to solve imbalances by eliminating these empty transports needed for the repositioning of containers and pallets, and thus save fuel and CO2. And how do we do that? We're playing with the tagline, the dating company or dating platform for ULDs. And I think that explains it quite well. So it's an open online platform where airlines can share their overstock or their understock all around the world. And an auto-matching function will bring these stocks together. And then one airline benefits from getting a solution for their overstock and have somebody else transport the units to where they're needed. And the other airline at the same location will get a solution for their understock of containers or pallets and get to use these units for their own cargo or baggage. So it's a win-win for both airlines. And what Kai just said, I think that is really important when it comes to sustainability. You need another benefit. Sustainability on its own will probably not lead us to pushing to these new ideas. But here, both airlines really benefit from that SkyPooling solution. And on the environmental side, we can take out fuel, so CO2. Overall, there's less assets needed because you need simply less containers if you don't fly them around emptily or they're standing around emptily. You need less warehouse and transport capacities. And also on the economical side, really airlines can obviously save cost on fuel, save cost on capital expenditure, have more effective, efficient workflows. We have a lost and found function also on the SkyPooling platform, so they can more easily trace back their lost and found ULDs and get them back into the cycle. And on the revenue side, really fly revenue cargo rather than empty equipment. And I think when we speak to ground handlers and airports, they also benefit from optimizing their own capacities and not having too many containers standing around. So as I said, the dating platform, and well, we think with every match, SkyPooling can contribute to sustainability.
Great. And is the dating platform also working for all type of containers?
It's working for.
Or is it only for your containers?
No, it's working for all types of containers and pallets. So at this moment, to standardized ULDs. Then again, we're looking at opening it up for other kind of containers or boxes. So looking at Kai and the reusable shipping boxes from Pelican Bio, that might be something to think about. They don't need to be flown back empty or standing around. But at present, we can work with any kind of ULD code. The most pallets and containers we're seeing at the moment are the most usual ones. So you have the PMCs, and on the baggage side, mainly AKEs. But we're actually testing also with the first cool containers. And now I guess here is sustainability. You need to look at that a bit in a broader perspective. I guess for cool containers, it's not so important not to fly them empty, but really to have them as quick as possible back into the cycle. So the purpose is a little bit different, but of course, SkyPooling could also be used for that. And what's really also important, it's open for any kind of cargo and baggage container or pallet.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting. So it means that you three, SkyPooling and VRR and Pelican, you can all become partners on the same, to tackle the same issues, stopping the empty empty journey of your different containers, making sure that we minimize the space also on empty journeys, that we use reusable containers that are made from recyclable components. So you guys, you can actually really do partner on that, right?
Well, I would agree, and I don't know what Ben or Kai are thinking, because none of the solutions will solve the whole issue. I guess in the first place, you have optimized ULD steering by the airline themselves or by ULD management companies like Jetainer. Then you can have, or you need to have, lightweight equipment to take weight out, which I guess VRR offers. You need to have those foldable or more innovative inflatable solutions. But you will not be able to change a fleet of 1 million ULDs in all different kinds to foldable equipment. But there will still be imbalances. So I think, and then a platform like SkyPooling comes in.
That's really cool. You know, we are in Tiaka, and with our partner Pharma.io, we are working on a project called Sunrays, and it's about, you know, getting ready for the COVID vaccines delivery. One of the issue that was raised by most of the airlines and freight forwarders were the issue of positioning and repositioning of the cool containers or the cool boxes that will be required. So I bet that a dating platform like yours could also support that, right?
Definitely. As I said, we're testing with the first containers. I think that's the first 3 RAPs. So that's the big version of the cool containers, and needing a transport back from India to Europe. And why am I saying testing? Because of course these units are of much more value. You need a bit of technical training to be flying them. Airlines need to be certified. So, and I think that definitely is one way of solving it. And Celine, I think it was on the questionnaire earlier when you mentioned the partnerships are essential to success. And I think that also applies for this crisis situation, to really get these containers back into the cycle as quickly as possible. But I don't know, maybe Kai wants to add how are you positioning and repositioning your shipper boxes?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we have, because our shippers are passive, we have coolants in them. I mean, like ice packs you're using a lunchbox. And so there is preparation work, there is refurbishment. And to be able to support that because of that specific problem, we have service centers globally to do that. So international flights, whether it's a parcel shipper, and everything is overnighted in our world. Even though the performance is there to maybe cut costs, not doing that, it's all overnighted. That's, people are used to getting it the next day. So our networks are able to basically get our box to the nearest service center in order to avoid the repositioning problem. You know, you don't want to ship an empty unit, you know, back across the Atlantic Ocean, for instance. So.
Good. I have a question for you guys. You know, back maybe to this question around what Ben, you mentioned. You have a culture within your company to test and fail projects, to ask questions, etc. So to get a real successful project, initiative, product like yours, how many other ideas did you came up with that didn't make it until the end?
To be honest, I think the ideas itself are not that numerous. So we have 2 main concepts of the collapsible range that we have. We keep it small range, as we call it. So that's mechanically, and that's the inflatable unit. But what you see in the development, there we see a lot of different concepts which have been tried or which have been tested and which failed. So within the development itself, you see a lot of iterations and changes in the design. But to be honest, the real ideas to tackle an idea or to tackle a problem or sustainable problem, not that many have failed. It is really in the design itself and the development itself that we see that it happens, and that those are numerous. Yeah, those are a lot actually.
Okay.
And they can only be proven by testing and have smaller tests. Just figure out how a hinge will work or an inflatable part, how that will work when is pinched, and then you will discover, oh, it's not a good material. We have to change it. So yeah, testing and proof of principles help a lot in that.
Like you pretend that it's not a magic wand?
It's definitely not magic. No. Having the idea is nice and the concept itself is nice, but we have roughly 2 years we're now working on the inflatable key to get it designed and certified and have it ready for the market. So it's not a thing that you do overnight and the next day you have a model ready. No, it takes a lot of effort to get there.
And that's, I think, a key message that, you know, everybody needs to hear. I mean, success doesn't come by magic, and it doesn't come overnight. It does require a lot of hard work, a lot of dreams, with many that are not coming for real. It's you know, we only see the top of the iceberg, but we have to be conscious about the rest. What about you, Christine, in your company?
Well, I think for us, what we generally do with projects is to try, how we call it, to think in small elephants. I don't know if that translates into all languages, but at least in German, you use the term of cutting an elephant into slices. And I think that makes a project too huge and too big, and you will never finish, and you might see too late that it's actually going the wrong direction. So what we really try to do is to start from small elephants, get them going and improve them. And if you look at the SkyPooling example, when we took it over and redeveloped it, the first stage was to get and continue to have airline users on board. Now, the next step would be to talk to handling agents at airports, because they can make better use of their lost and found activities. Or in a later stage, look at other container types. So really go with these small elephants. That's one thing, and I think that really helps us. And the other thing is to try and think about meaningful innovation and digitization. I think also when it comes to sustainability or when it comes to innovation, quite often you have this drive to be innovative, or you have that drive to be sustainable, but not really the purpose or the meaningful idea behind it. So that's really the second way forward. We're trying to push these things.
And you, Kai, in Pelican?
Well, we've had a lot of failed product ideas that never made it to market. I think, you know, if you're not doing anything if you don't have failures, so take pride in that. Our passive cargo shipping solution, you know, it went through a failed iteration, but we really have to have that goal in mind, that mountain peak, as Christine said, and work through the requirements and regulations. And in that case, it was a scrap and start from the beginning, but we ended up getting there. Even after you launch a product, there's still improvements that get made and continuous improvements, as Christine mentioned. You know, when we first, speaking to the innovation point, when we first launched a reusable shipping solution, I mean, the ULD space, it makes sense. It's a very large, it has to be a robust, so durable good. That wasn't always true in the cold chain space. And so the idea of reusability didn't exist before, you know, the year 2000. And really the competitors in the market laughed at us. And, you know, that's never going to work. And so it's kind of having those mindsets and thinking outside the box, where sustainability wasn't the driver, it was all cost. And as you know, companies look at their purchasing departments and their operational departments, they're completely different budgets. They don't care what the total cost is going to be. And so that drives unsustainable decisions within those organizations, even if it in the long run would save them money. So I think some of those business practices need to change as well.
That's actually a very important point, and we will have to close on that. In most of the conversation about sustainability is seen as a cost instead of being seen as a cost-saving opportunity or as a revenue opportunity. And I think we have an opportunity here to change that conversation, to change that perception as well. There was one question that I really liked in the chat box. So if there is somebody that can have a very quick answer to that one, that would be superb before I hand over to Justina. So one common question to all panelists and moderator. Everyone mentioned that initially sustainability was not the focus, but later identified the opportunities for sustainability. How can we move from reactive to more proactive, meaning stimulating sustainability criteria at the inception stage? Do you think it's something that we can do and we can like push more?
I would state that in many cases, sustainability, or the environment and economical advantages go hand in hand. So maybe that's one way to really look at where do those two, or even add it with the social advantages, where do these two or three go hand in hand, and try and identify these and then follow them.
Mm-hmm.
From my side, I think there's a tendency to put a stamp on it that it is sustainable. But in the end, most of the things that we develop already, if you really look to that, the sustainable pillars that there are, socially, economically, and environmental, if you really look on the ideas that we not started that with the focus on sustainability, but in the end, there was always a sustainability impact in it already from the beginning. But we never put the stamp of sustainability on it. So I think a lot of ideas are already sustainable that are developed. And I'm not sure, if that stamp should per se be there. Yeah. If it makes sense what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think it makes sense, especially when we really have those 3 dimensions, in mind. When you guys, you start with, I want to solve this issue of empty journeys to have the containers back. It's to solve an unsustainable situation that you come up with this idea.
Correct. Yeah.
Kai, do you want to say last words?
Yeah, I would say that a lot of it comes down to purchasing decisions of large organizations, and they really have to be a driver of understanding where they have inefficiencies. And for us to solve problems, those problems exist, and really our goal is to make everything as efficient as possible, from a cost standpoint, which naturally when you're making something efficient helps on the sustainability front as well. So I think using efficiency as kind of your design metric, it'll come automatically.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you, Christine. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Kai. Again, congratulations. So in terms of the next steps, we are going to announce the winners at the Uniting Air Cargo session of Digital ACF. It's the last session. It's going to be Thursday next week on the 10th of December. So one of you will be awarded as the winner. But as I told you in the prep session, you are 3 all winners for being there. Frankly, what you guys are putting out there is really amazing, and it does contribute to make our industry more sustainable. So well done to you guys, and thank you again. I'd like to
thank you very much.
I'd like to give the floor to Justina and to Pierre-Jean, Valérie, and Biplav. Enjoy the show. We have 3 great startups finalists of the awards also that are going to present.
Thanks, Celine. Great intro. So very quickly, I would like to present to you the finalists of the Sustainability Awards startup category who are competing for the $10,000 US prize. I'm really thrilled about this, and it's really a pleasure to invite you all to present. So Pierre-Jean Tinet from Beyond IoT is participating with an asset tracking logistics technology. Valérie Kalemska from Drone Delivery Canada, a drone company focused on cargo delivery to isolated and remote areas. And Biplav Pagani from Nepal Flying Labs, a humanitarian medical cargo drone company. Each of you will have 10 minutes to present your solution, which will be then voted by TIACA's members in the week to come. So without any further ado, Pierre-Jean, I invite you to kick it off with your pitch. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Justina. Hello, everyone. Let me share my screen then. Can you all see my screen in full screen mode?
Not full screen yet.
Not full screen.
Now good.
Now we good? All right. So yeah, hello everyone. It is a great honor to be speaking to you today. And I would like to say thank you, Chaka, Celine, and Justina especially for giving me this opportunity. So I am Pierre-Jean Tinet, the founder of Beyond IoT. We provide sensitive asset tracking services, and the objective is to reach zero waste in logistics. But most importantly, I am the father of a 5-month-old baby boy who got his first vaccines done. I'm telling you this because vaccines are a hot topic in the industry right now, and vaccines as well as pharmaceuticals are sensitive products that need special care. They need to be transported fast and to worldwide destination. That is also why air cargo is chosen by luxury aviation and automotive industry to transport assets of great value. You may know those numbers that air freight share in global trade is represent less than 1% by volume, but 35% by value. So it means that air cargo is used for assets of great value that need a fast and reliable transportation system. But the question is how reliable air transport really is. And since it's the topic of today, how air transport is sustainable for the customers. So let's look at some numbers. 7 million tons, that is the weight of perishables transported by air cargo in 2019. But 5% of them were damaged and wasted due to transport condition. That makes 350,000 tons of waste for one single year. And it represents 212 million meals. So we can say that there is room for improvement. So now if we look at the pharmaceutical supply chain performance, every year, $15 billion worth of pharmaceutical products are wasted due to transport condition. And in fact, over 50% of all temperature excursion occur while products are in the hands of airlines or airports. So again, performance is not so great, and at the end of the day, performance is key to retain those customers taking air cargo, choosing air cargo. But how could you improve if you don't know where, when and how those temperature excursions happen. The lack of visibility and transparency between stakeholders prevent improvement in sustainability. To truly have a positive impact, we need collaboration. Collaboration between all stakeholders of the supply chain, from the shippers to freight forwarders, ground handlers, and airlines. And that is why I believe that visibility and liability brought by the combination of IoT, the Internet of Things, and blockchain will have a great impact on sustainability performance of the air cargo industry. And actually, all this is the reason why I have funded Beyond and designed a very unique tracking device. But how Beyond device is different from the others? Well, first of all, compared to data loggers, we bring real-time visibility. We provide real-time data about temperature, shocks, movement, and position, and we provide alerts when there is an excursion. Thanks to real-time visibility, supply chain stakeholders may take real-time actions to prevent waste. It enables users to get data before it is too late for the product. And not just at the airport. We provide connectivity in 65 countries without any extra infrastructure. Our devices are standalone, which means that it doesn't require any additional readers or gateways like Bluetooth or BLE in your warehouses or at airports. And still, you will be able to track and trace your shipments in real time from shippers' facilities to consignee warehouses. We like to keep technology adoption simple. And so you just attach the device, forget about it, and focus on data. And to help you focus on data even more, our devices have years of battery life, compared to weeks for GSM-enabled devices. It means that there is almost no maintenance. You just use it and use it again until you receive a low battery notification years after entry into service. We use a low power technology, which requires less energy and improves the sustainability of the whole solution. Finally, and most importantly for the air cargo industry, has been mentioned, certification. Beyond devices comply with air transport regulations, and our devices are already approved by Swiss. It has been decided in September, by Singapore Airlines since November, and since Monday we are approved by Lufthansa and Lufthansa Cargo. All those features are key to get absolute visibility in the air cargo operations. And to make it more concrete, I'd like to share a few screenshots with you of our web platform. So this is the platform of Beyond. And here you can see, here you have access to data from a tracking device. This is what you get when you have real-time monitoring data. So here you have the temperature, the battery level, the shocks, and the position. So here, for instance, it is in Toulouse, France. That's where Beyond is based. The temperature is 24 degrees. But if that is a problem for shipment's integrity, the user will receive an alert in real time and may trigger an action to save or inspect the shipment. Of course, the user may also access here. You have the data history and analyze shipment routes and conditions to improve its supply chain performance. So here, for instance, you can see a high temperature excursion at above 40 degrees. But once the alert was received, we put the shipment back in a cold room to prevent damage and waste of the product. So this is how we leverage the value of visibility to reduce waste and improve logistics performance. You will know when, where, and how those events happen. But more than visibility, we aim also, as it has been said, we aim to facilitate collaboration because collaboration is key, and to enhance liability of stakeholders. So that is where Beyond starts partnering with CETA and SkyRepublic to build a blockchain platform, collecting data from the devices and share it with shippers, freight forwarders, ground handlers, and airlines. So here you have the history of the shipment here. I don't know if you can see it. And you have the key events of the shipment and the contractual liability associated. This is crucial because the roles are clearly stated here, and you have access here to contracts and documents related to the shipment. And of course, we make the shipment talk with real-time data provided by Beyond devices. So here we display the position of the shipment. It was in Singapore, and it was on its way to Paris. It arrived yesterday. But if a temperature excursion happens, an alert will be sent to the platform, and we know who is responsible and who will be able to act to prevent the shipment to be damaged or to be wasted. So yeah, this is how Beyond is willing to have a positive impact on our cargo. And of course, as I said at the beginning, the long-term objective is to reach zero waste in logistics. But in the short term, and by applying this solution and by collaborating, our objective could be to reduce waste by 50%, 15%. And what does 15% represent exactly in terms of waste reduction? Regarding perishables, we could save 13 million meals, which is the equivalent of feeding the entire population of both Australia and New Zealand. And for pharmaceuticals, we could save $1.2 billion worth of product, which is the equivalent of India's annual imports of pharmaceuticals. So as you see, our cargo industry has the potential to have such a great impact on supply chain sustainability. And I believe it is our responsibility to make it happen. Thanks for your attention, and I'm looking forward to deploying sustainable solutions with you. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Pierre-Jean. Valerie, over to you.
Thank you so much, Justina. Appreciate the opportunity to present today. Let me just share my screen. Can you see my screen okay in full mode?
Perfect.
Thank you. So my name is Valerie Halemska. I'm the Senior Account Manager for Drone Delivery Canada, a drone logistics company out of Toronto, Canada. Today, I'd like to talk about the social, economic, and environmental value of drone logistics. So first, I'd like to tell a little story about a small community in rural Ontario called the Beausoleil First Nation. They went into lockdown recently because of COVID-19, and it's an island community, extremely isolated, with only the ferry to provide them with access to fresh food, medicine, and healthcare services. Like the rest of the world, they didn't know much about the disease, and with the majority of the population being elderly and having some underlying health conditions, they started to panic. But someone in the community had heard about drones delivering medical supplies, and they reached out to Drone Delivery Canada to see if we could help. The reality is that there are over 1,000 of remote communities in Canada and more globally, and all of them are dealing with harsh climate conditions and very isolated conditions where they don't have any road access, and they don't have continued access to things like produce or vaccines or pharmaceutical items. More often than not, the community members themselves have to travel as opposed to cargo traveling to them. For example, if an elder of the community has to get a blood work done, they would get in a water taxi, as pictured here, which is extremely dangerous, and they would travel to the lab on the mainland. And we thought, why not have a community nurse draw their blood on the island and then send that blood test to the lab on the mainland using an electric drone? Drone Delivery Canada provides a green technology that could offer a lifeline to these communities so we could improve the quality of life for them. This is why our founders started Drone Delivery Canada back in 2014, with a mission to revolutionize the supply chain, reimagine the way we deliver commercial cargo, and also solve logistical problems for remote communities globally. So what makes us a global leader in drone logistics? We have a patented cost-effective solution, which is globally scalable. Our battery-powered drones allow remote communities to gain access to critical supplies, like medical supplies, fresh food, and with being fully approved by the regulator to integrate into active airspace and a 24/7, 365 operation, it's globally scalable. By using eco-friendly, sustainable drones, we can contribute to the global mission of reducing carbon footprint and make a lot of these communities more economically and socially sustainable by letting them operate these technologies independently and also creating jobs within these communities. So in terms of the applications for drone logistics, there are three main categories. So first, they're perfect for delivering in hard to access locations. So anywhere where traditional transport is challenged. They're also good for time-sensitive delivery. So maybe you can get there, but you need to get there faster, and you can with a drone. And now in the post-COVID world, we're also seeing tremendous value in reducing human-to-human contact. So we can actually effectively keep the supply chain open by introducing a touchless solution and reduce the risk of COVID-19 transmission. So one thing I'd like to point out is the fact that we're not really a drone company, contrary to the name. What we provide is a solution. It's an entire system that includes software, the hardware, not just drones, but also automated depots, automated battery management systems, and the professional services like training or remote monitoring. Why it's important? Because who would just sell the drones and walk away, we actually work with these communities and train them on how to operate them to make them more economically and socially sustainable and let them run this operation completely independently. To explain how the solution works, really in the center of it all is the software called Flight, and that's what allows us to integrate into the active airspace. The system automatically checks commercial aircraft, it checks the weather, and the drones themselves can operate in rain and snow, day and night, and even in areas with no cell coverage. When it comes to the supporting infrastructure, we have two methodologies. So one, we could travel between pre-installed depots called drone spots, as pictured on the bottom of the diagram, or we could travel with minimal or no infrastructure in place, like you're seeing in the pictures on the right, taken from a real-life project. While the system runs completely unmanned, automatically, we do monitor all of our flights from the operations control center. So the operators are monitoring for purposes of ensuring full compliance with active airspace and safety and security of all operations. Now on to the drones themselves. So we offer a pretty scalable solution with a number of drone types in our fleet today. These sustainable drones range from 30 kilometers up to 200 kilometers with a payload capacity of up to 180 kilograms. So these lithium-powered drones could carry small medical supplies or even bulk medical supplies, so things like emergency kits, EpiPens, defibrillators, snakebite kits, and any other emergency application products. When it comes to the regulations, we're fully approved and certified by Transport Canada. I also wanted to mention our our partnership with Air Canada Cargo. And thanks to their global network and their global reach, they're helping us find many remote communities in need all around the world. In fact, we have a number, a number of partners in Canada and globally, and that makes our solution globally scalable. So having partners like Astral Aerial with strong presence in Africa, for example, or Cargo Service Center in India, allows us to reach many remote communities and allows to benefit many small areas, not just in Canada, but globally. We're also working with the province of Ontario in Canada on a number of healthcare projects. And one that I like to highlight is called AED on the Fly, which was designed around delivering defibrillators to cardiac arrest patients in remote areas. So the project meant to raise ground ambulance using electric drones. And believe it or not, we had 100% success rate, meaning that drones get to these patients faster every single time. When it comes to cardiac arrest, your chance of survival goes down by 10% with every minute that you're not getting help. So because we can operate in areas with no cell coverage, we could get to these patients much faster and potentially save lives. To tell you more about the work we're doing in Canada for First Nations communities, what we're doing really is we're providing aid and delivering it to them on a number of dedicated routes. I specifically wanted to highlight the work we're doing with the Beausoleil First Nation that I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, because it was the first COVID-19 related drone logistics project in Canada. We partnered with a humanitarian aid agency called Global Medic and a logistics company called OEC Group to enable a two-way transportation link for this community and help them effectively manage the pandemic response and get access to critical supplies like COVID-19 test kits, personal protective equipment, fresh food, medicine, and hopefully vaccines soon enough. So I prepared a short video to show you how the solution works for you to see the drones in action and the many partners that were involved in this amazing project.
This project that we're doing right now could be a global game changer because we're actually using the cargo drone behind me, affectionately called the Sparrow, and it's flying humanitarian aid across the bay to an isolated First Nation on an island. And it's the first time in Canada that we've ever had a humanitarian mission run using cargo drones.
How cool is that?
A lot of people don't realize First Nations communities are particularly susceptible to the virus, to the pandemic. They typically don't have very good healthcare infrastructure. There's no hospital on the island, for instance, and they often have underlying healthcare issues. So they're trying to self-isolate. So we're using the drone to deliver pandemic-related supplies from the mainland to the island.
COVID has brought a new challenge for every community. It means looking at different ways of doing things. I mean, all our lives have changed in how we respond to this pandemic. The solutions are out there with different companies, and I think it's great.
The OEC is one of the lead backers of this project. We really see this technology being the future of logistics, and when this opportunity came up, we thought really this checked a lot of boxes, being a great humanitarian project and also testing the technology.
What's really important here is that everybody was brought together to help. So Air Canada Cargo and Pontiac Group identified the need of this community that could be well served with Drone Delivery Canada's technology, and Air Canada Foundation, working closely with Global Medic, knew they had the expertise to help. So it's a really, really good example of how everybody's assets and expertise can be brought together for social good. And we're really, really proud of the meaningful connections that have been made to make this happen.
What really excites me even more than helping this First Nation in this community is the global impact that it can mean. Because that little beast can be delivering life-saving aid to people trapped on mountains, trapped because of earthquakes and roads being out, trapped because of storms, and it's just going to save lives. And whenever Canada can step up to the world and save lives, that's a great thing.
Thank you so much for your attention. Thanks for having me today.
Thanks, Valerie. Good job. Okay, and over to you, Biplav, the last one. Go for it.
Is my screen visible in full mode?
Not full screen. Perfect.
Yeah, thank you, Justina, and hello, everyone. I'm Biplav. I'm the program director at Nepal Flying Labs. Nepal Flying Lab is a not-for-profit local innovation hub that started after the Nepal earthquake 2015. And we use robotics, especially drones, for social good applications. We are the first and a police chapter of the Global Flying Lab network, currently in 32 nations around the world. Our expertise is in humanitarian action, local capacity building, and medical cargo delivery for rural healthcare. Before we move into our drone technology, I would like to give you a brief scenario of the rural healthcare in Nepal. Nepal is a mountainous country with more than 80% of the population living in rural areas, among which 50% are living in areas with poor access to healthcare. People are dying from simple disease due to remoteness of their village, as it takes more than 6 hours to travel to a proper healthcare facility. On top of that, the density of qualified physicians in the country is very less, and it drops down drastically when we move towards the western rural Nepal. The reason for poor rural healthcare are due to these reasons. Firstly, the laboratories in rural areas are not well equipped, and medical personnel, they tend to stay in location with proper facilities and better lifestyle. On top of that, youths migrate to cities for opportunities, leaving the most vulnerable ones behind. Along with that, there have been instances of not having the 22 essential drugs in the rural health post. The lack of proper accessibility due to difficult topographical conditions is the main reason for having one of the poorest healthcare in Nepal. Sick people are actually carried and transported by family and community members in rural Nepal, as shown in the figure. They have to walk hours of long hikes up and down along a harsh, narrow trails. Therefore, we use drone technology to aid rural healthcare through this project. In the drone optimized therapy system, also known as DROTS, we facilitate the collection of sputum samples from rural health locations for rapid diagnosis using gene expert diagnostic tool. We are currently aiding to find the missing TB cases in western rural Nepal, Bhutan, which is 450 kilometers west of the capital city, Kathmandu. DROT system currently consists of a combination of different technologies and tools such as drones, gene expert machines, and smart pillbox. We are using a 15.5 kg customized drone that can carry a medical cargo up to a few kgs inside the 3D printed cargo box. The cargo box is developed with compartments that can carry up to 16 sputum samples at a time. This drone is controlled with this ground station application, which has been programmed to be more sustainable as it has all the regular features, along with features such as local language to aid local healthcare staffs. The app can be used in any Android devices, and we usually use tablets as it has bigger displays. So the community health workers visit houses of TB patients, they collect sputum samples and provide it to the nearest health post. There are actually 2 drones lab with gene expert machine from where the drone is dispatched to the rural health post. There, the drone lands scanning the precision landing mat. Then the clinical samples are loaded into the cargo box and sent back for tests. The drone performs multiple flights when necessary, which each flight taking 5 minutes in average to complete. All the flights are fully automated and precision landing mats improve the landing accuracy. The drone flight is currently operational in 8 out of the 12 health posts as shown in the figure, and it connects 2 health centers with 4 rural health posts each. The longest route covered is 6.7 kilometers, while the highest altitude difference between 2 landing zones is 900 meters. Here you can see the road travel time from Bhutan Hospital on the left bottom side to the Majkot on the top right hand is 4 hours, while a drone can bring that sample in just 5 minutes. Till date, we have conducted over 294 flights collecting 744 sputum samples, out of which 26 have been diagnosed as active TB cases and are under treatment. This is the first time a drone flight permission was obtained for operations beyond the line of sight from 12 government agencies in Nepal, and we have successfully implemented the precision landing at both locations for autonomous flights. Talking about the sustainability impact, there are two major stakeholders for this project: patients in rural areas and healthcare personnel. In case of tuberculosis, most patients are either the elderly or young children, and it is very tiring and time-consuming for them to visit a hospital for diagnosis. The project directly helped these stakeholders transport their sputum samples in a very short time without having them to go to the hospital facilities. Also, the patients now can take medicines regularly and remind themselves the right time for the medicine intake using these smart pill boxes. To be truly sustainable and integrated, the technology is being operated and maintained by healthcare workers. The majority of medical drone projects that are operating in developing nations are handled by foreign experts. But the unique aspect of our project is that this is completely handled by locals who were initially trained with international experts. This provided opportunities for locals to be engaged in a challenging and first of its kind project in rural healthcare. The biggest impact which this project has created is in terms of sensitizing the local government and the federal ministries in Nepal. Prior to this project, drones in healthcare were limited to a possible concept, but now the consortium of several agencies, including our healthcare partner, have proved that regular drones can be customized and used for rural healthcare in Nepal. This has also helped us convince the ministry and people at decision-making level to believe that drones can help the Ministry of Health reach the most vulnerable population in a very short time with higher efficiency. The drones make use of fusion deposition model parts such as 3D printed cargo box, which is an additive manufacturing method that generates no manufacturing waste compared to other manufacturing processes, which are usually subtractive. Furthermore, drones are cleaner solutions to the existing fossil fuel counterparts, and in our field of operations, it can travel up to a maximum distance in less than 5 minutes, while the same delivery would take 4 or 5 times more using a fossil fuel vehicle. Therefore, this directly aids on decreasing the use of vehicles consuming fossil fuel. So what makes us really different is that we have formed a unique consortium with the presence of government, non-government, private, research, and not-for-profit entities working together in this social good project. Then the project is owned by the district health office itself, and it is also one-of-a-kind project in South Asia. The operations are fully handled by healthcare workers, which connects advanced diagnostic tools such as gene expert machine to the rural population. This was possible with modification of easily available commercial drones integrated with 3D printed cargo box specially designed to hold medical samples and a precision landing mat for autonomous landing. With the first phase, we have proved that a medical cargo drone project is possible and can create an impact in the healthcare of the rural population in Nepal. With this ready-to-use replicable system, we have planned phase 2 as an expansion and replication to the current drone network. We are looking for new partnership with organizations interested in this sector, and we want to link the service to remaining 4 health posts and also start transporting other medical samples and supplies. We want to operate more flights and collect more samples by engaging more locals in the flight operations with trainings and employment opportunities. They say drones are the future of cargo, but we say that drones are the present of cargo deliveries. And we have piloted, tested, and integrated the medical cargo drone system in rural Nepal, and we want to continue doing so. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Biplav. Thanks, Valerie, Pierre-Jean, with your presentations. Good job, guys. The next step We will be opening the online voting to TIACA's members tonight. We'll be featuring these presentations and the video recording of the session. So those members who could not see you today, they will have an opportunity to see you in the upcoming week. For all the members, the voting will be done on member portal. So please reach out to Kenneth Gibson or me if you have any issues or questions. And the voting will be open until December 8th. And the winners, both corporate and startup category, will be announced at the closing session of the Air Cargo Forum, Uniting Air Cargo, on the 10th of December. So I really wish you all best of luck. You did an amazing job. It was a great journey for me to follow from the moment you applied to today. And I really equally wish you best of luck to win. But of course, as Celine has said, you're all winners and you have amazing solutions to offer to the industry, and you're pushing the industry forward in sustainability. So good job. Thanks again to Champ Cargo Systems for supporting this award, and all the sponsors of Air Cargo Forum for making it possible. Everyone watching today, if you liked this session, please register to tomorrow's one on airports. And next week, we're talking about drones, vaccine transportation, so COVID-19 vaccine transportation and industry collaboration. Good to have you all. Thanks again, and hope to see you in the upcoming sessions. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care, everybody. Thank you for coming.